So this is my interview with Roger Ver. Roger Ver, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Roger, can I just ask, how did you originally get involved in the crypto space?
So I first heard about Bitcoin on a libertarian radio show called Free Talk Live in reference to it being used on the Silk Road, but I personally wasn't interested in drugs at all. But I thought, what kind of money could they possibly be using to do all this? So I was really interested in what type of money was allowing that, and that's when I Googled it and found out about Bitcoin and realized that this is going to change the way everybody does all sorts of things all over the planet. So here we are today, almost 8 years later.
And so how did you actually get involved with it once you'd figured out how it works?
The first step was to try and get some, and back then it wasn't easy to go, but there was no coin. There was basically nothing at that point. Like, there was kind of Mt. Gox, but it was still being run out of the personal bank account of the guy that founded Mt. Gox before Mark Karpelès. So it was another guy named Jed McCaleb, who later went on to found Ripple and then Stellar. So I sent a wire to his personal bank account to buy some Bitcoin. And of course I got some free Bitcoin from Gavin Andreessen's Bitcoin Faucet. And seeing it work right before my eyes really was a magical experience, watching it happen right there before my eyes. And I want everyone to be able to feel the magic of Bitcoin today.
Fantastic. And were you one of the unlucky ones to lose some money in the Mt. Gox scandal?
So I didn't really lose any money in Mt. Gox, but before Mt. Gox there was another Mt. Gox type event called Bitcoinica, and I think I lost 27,000 Bitcoins in Bitcoinica.
Oh, wow.
So every time the price goes up now, it's a little bit bittersweet because I'm reminded of all those Bitcoins that I lost in Bitcoinica. So.
Wow, that's a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah, but at the time it was still a lot of money. They were about $5 per Bitcoin, so it was like $125,000, which is still a lot of money. But today, it's what, $250 million or something like that. So.
That's an extraordinary amount. And so, what would you say is your biggest success in the crypto and blockchain space up until this point? Because I know you've been investing for many companies for a long time now.
Yeah, nobody. Almost never has anybody asked me what's been my biggest success. I think if I had to name my single biggest success, I think it's probably BitcoinStore.com, which most people they're not even aware of today because it's not a big deal. But at the time, everybody would always complain about Bitcoin. Well, yeah, what can you buy with it? So I set up a website at BitcoinStore.com that allowed people to buy more than 500,000 consumer electronics products for Bitcoin only, and at prices cheaper than Amazon or Newegg or Tiger Direct. And then suddenly the entire world could point to this website, and the orders just went crazy. We got so many orders every day from people all over the world, and that was kind of the lever that persuaded all these other big businesses like Overstock and Tiger Direct and Newegg.com to have to start accepting Bitcoin in their businesses. So I really think that was a really fantastic lever that I used to help get the entire world to start using Bitcoin as money.
Fantastic. And where do you see Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or the cryptocurrency world being 5 years from today?
I think 5 years from today we'll have even more adoption and more merchants and more wallets and more users and more awareness, and more of all these wonderful things will be happening all over the world with cryptocurrencies. And the cryptocurrency I'm the most bullish of out of all of them is Bitcoin Cash. And that's because it has the same underlying economic code that made Bitcoin successful to begin with, whereas the BTC version of Bitcoin no longer has that winning economic code.
And where did Bitcoin BTC deviate from Satoshi's original vision, in your opinion?
A bunch of people got involved in the project and using censorship and propaganda tricked the world into thinking that Bitcoin wasn't meant to be used as cash, even though it's right there in the very title of the Bitcoin white paper. It's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And so today, the BTC version of Bitcoin, it has the Bitcoin name, but that's it. If you start calling my shoe Bitcoin, it doesn't mean my shoe is Bitcoin. And today, I think that same logic really applies to the BTC version of Bitcoin. It has the Bitcoin name, but the one that acts like Bitcoin and the same version of Bitcoin that made it popular to begin with in the first place is Bitcoin Cash.
Okay, I understand. And where do you stand on the Lightning Network and how that aims to scale the BTC blockchain?
I wish them good luck, but here's my iPhone. I can't install a Lightning Network wallet. I don't know of any merchants that are accepting it for anything. I'm looking forward to having flying cars that everybody can use, but that doesn't mean that we should stop driving normal cars today, because someday we'll have flying cars, and it's the same with the Lightning Network. I hope it works. I'm excited for when and if it does work someday, but don't break or don't stop using existing things that are working today in the hopes of something that might work at some point in the future, and that's exactly what the BTC camp did.
Okay, and I also recently heard about Bitcoin Cash's release of a development kit, and that's something that I know from the BTC community, something that they're pushing for themselves. What was it that initially drove you to develop the development kit and release it?
Yeah, we want to make it as easy as we possibly can for developers to build on top of Bitcoin Cash and make Bitcoin Cash the money for the entire world. So we have a whole team dedicated to building the SDKs and the different tools to make it easy for developers to build on top of Bitcoin Cash. So visit developer.bitcoin.com for all the information on that.
And in your long-term vision of Bitcoin Cash, do you see decentralized applications being built on top of it, or do you see Bitcoin Cash as a digital cash being the ultimate use case?
So people talk about Dapps this and Dapps that, but we already know what the killer Dapp is for blockchain technology, and the killer Dapp is money. And so Bitcoin Cash, the cash aspect is the killer Dapp, and maybe people will build other Dapps and other tokens and other things on top of it, but the money characteristic is the one. Everybody uses money every day of their lives, all over the place. So let's decentralize that and give people money that's beyond the control of any central entity, and that's what we're doing with Bitcoin Cash.
And do you see a future where Bitcoin, BTC, and BCH could coexist peacefully and work together in the cryptocurrency revolution?
They're already doing that right now today, but they're still busy arguing over the Bitcoin name, because from my point of view, the BTC camp has stolen the Bitcoin name for something that's not Bitcoin. It's not the Bitcoin described in the original white paper, and understandably the Bitcoin Cash camp is angry about that. But I don't think that arguing is going to stop. But at the end of the day, if you want to bring more economic freedom to the world, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system has the ability to do that, whereas a peer-to-peer electronic store of value, which is what the BTC camp's trying to build now, I don't see how that does people much good.
Okay, I understand. And in regards to blockchain, why is blockchain so important for society? What is the single biggest reason that you think it's necessary to implement blockchain?
All over the world, we look at governments manipulating the money supply and controlling what people can and can't do with their own money, and that retards the rate of economic growth of the entire world. So if we can strip government's power away from being able to control the flow of capital and people buying and selling things with their own money, we literally increase the rate of economic growth of the entire world, which the rate of economic growth is basically the way we measure humankind's progress as humans, right? So we want to speed up the rate of economic growth as much as we possibly can, and cryptocurrencies, usable as currencies, are the best tool the world has ever seen to do that, and that's why I'm so excited about Bitcoin Cash today.
Yes, I'm actually in exactly the same boat. There's a term that I want to coin going forward, which is Neo-capitalism, which is a capitalistic model based on open blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. And that way we can differentiate the old form of capitalism, which is restricted, intermediary version of capitalism, from the emerging one. What do you think about that name? Do you think it could catch on?
I like it as long as we make sure that the definition sticks.
Yeah.
And just like we saw the definition of Bitcoin be co-opted, we need to make sure that your definition of neo-capitalism doesn't get co-opted. But I like what you just said.
Cool. And what do you think Bitcoin Cash's biggest hurdle going forward is?
I think it's the same hurdle that Bitcoin had to begin with. People need to know about it and be aware of it and realize that it's real and it's usable right now today and it can improve their lives today. So let's help spread the word about that.
Yes, and recently I also saw Ivan on Tech's GitHub analysis of Bitcoin Cash, and it was a basic analysis of the Bitcoin GitHub accounts, because as I'm sure you're aware, Ivan's a developer who looks at the intricacies of each technology, and from what we saw and what I could see is that Bitcoin Cash is lagging somewhat in underlying development compared to the Bitcoin core network. What are you going to do to try and drag Bitcoin core developers or other developers from other sectors into the Bitcoin Cash community?
So I didn't see the specific video you're referring to, but it's worth pointing out that if you write really good code that's up and working reliably, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So just because a bunch more commits and something are happening to a particular software project doesn't mean that the project's improving, or maybe it's even being hurt.
Yeah.
Right? So and we've seen that happen with Bitcoin. The changes have been made to Bitcoin that hurt Bitcoin. So there are a bunch of developers that wrote new lines of software code that detracted from the project. It didn't improve the project, it hurt the project. And so maybe that's taking place with some of the development that's still happening on BTC. So just because people are busy doing something doesn't mean they're busy doing something good or worthwhile.
I understand. And putting Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash to one side at the moment, what is your stance on emerging blockchains, for example, EOS? Do you see their place in the world in the emerging economy?
So I don't know enough about EOS to have an informed opinion directly, other than I think it's great that people are trying 1,000 different things, and there's 1,001 different blockchains out there, and may the ones that are the most useful to the most number of people flourish and bring more economic freedom to the world.
Yeah, I agree. And I appreciate your time, Roger. It's been very good talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Goodbye.